Welcome to episode 121 of Pink's Picks Book Recs, commentary from a retired high school English teacher. I was blown away by today's titles, even more so when read consecutively. Two can be categorized as contemporary domestic fiction, with the third redefining family with, nevertheless, its original dynamic omnipresent in the periphery. Rabbit Moon, The River is Waiting, and Culpability all begin with a catastrophic car crash. Respective authors Jennifer Haigh, Wally Lamb, and Bruce Holsinger brilliantly explore what events led up to each accident and delve into questions of who's at fault? What are the consequences? How do family members react differently to the same trauma? Is healing, or in some cases, forgiveness, within the realm of possibility? The car accident in Rabbit Moon occurs just before dawn in the financial district of Shanghai, where there is no sign of life except for the girl who is texting while waiting for her ride. Blocks away, a driver guns his engine, racing through green lights when he finally encounters a yellow light, makes a sharp left, and hears a dull thud. With the conviction of the very intoxicated, he believes he hit a lamppost, thus drives off. In the early morning, a street sweeper finds her. He calls the police on his old Nokia, then slips her iPhone into his pocket. From there, the perspective shifts between Lindsey's, the victims, her best friends, her little sisters, her parents, her apartment managers, a former college classmates, and a client. As the characters process the tragedy, we learn not only their backstories, but also Lindsey's and the life-altering events that led her from the Tony-safe streets of Newton, Massachusetts, to the chaotic concrete jungle of China's largest city. In The River is Waiting, protagonist and narrator Corby Ledbetter, a laid-off artist from an ad firm, is careening toward a collision long before he goes behind the wheel. On the morning of the accident, he self-treats his depression by chasing his Ativan and morning coffee with a couple of splashes of 100-proof Captain Morgan. Shortly afterwards, his usual order of buckling the twins into their car seats is interrupted when he remembers their bag on the front porch step and hustles back to get it. When he returns to the vehicle, he feels a slight resistance when he reverses, so he pulls ahead a few feet, then backs up again. When he hears his neighbor's screams, Corby suddenly and sickeningly knows what he's hit. As paramedics rush 2-year-old Nico to the hospital, the police, smelling alcohol on Corby's breath, insist that he rides with them and submits to a blood test, the results of which lead to charges and a prison sentence. As Corby tries to adapt to incarceration while counting the days until his release, we learn more about the childhood trauma that still haunts him and his quest for redemption behind bars. In Culpability, the Cassidy Shaw family hurtles along a highway in an autonomous minivan, 17-year-old Charlie is driving. His dad, Noah, protagonist and narrator, riding shotgun, is so focused on writing a work memo that he fails to notice Charlie's texting. In the back seats, Mom Lorelei scribbles in a notebook, preparing for an upcoming meeting on AI, as younger sisters Alice and Izzy toy with their phones. When Alice screams, "Charlie, stop!" he jerks the wheel, overriding the computer system. There's a screech of rubber, an impact, a blinding explosion, one flip, two, a hissing sound from the engine, moans, gasps, one sharp cry, stillness. While law enforcement's digital vehicle forensics team collects data to determine cause and assign blame, the family navigates through the aftermath of the calamity, survivor's guilt, and fear of criminal charges. In the middle of all that, another catastrophic accident occurs. I love Haigh's interesting narrative structure, use of heartbreaking irony, overarching themes of illusion versus reality, as well as fate and superstition, characterization of marriage and relationships, and motif of the color red. For example, the stoplights, the red-haired girl being brighter than autumn, pool of blood, tiny red flowers, a red thread, a bloody washcloth, a bed that looks like a crime scene, Bloody Marys, dark red lipstick, and when one of the characters starts cutting, the comfort of seeing her own blood. I love Lamb's depiction of suffering, introduced in the epigraph, and guilt, as well as prison life, both the brutality and rare beauty of friendship and kindnesses inside, nature motif, and inclusion of an illustrated volume of Greek mythology, especially Bruegel's Landscape of the Fall of Icarus. Noah says, "I was really into all those gods and mortals when we studied ancient Greece in 6th grade, but now I'm taken with the artist's depiction of human suffering on the faces of the characters. When I was younger, I identified with Icarus, whose father's warnings not to fly too close to the sun fell on deaf ears. What do parents know about anything? Now, studying the paintings, my sympathies are with Daedalus, powerless to save the boy. And as the inventor of wings, he realizes he's the unintentional orchestrator of his son's death." I love Holsinger's unique and frequent analogies. One particularly cracks me up. Their air has gone out. This is what follows. "The kids treat the Home Depot guys as humanitarian heroes, as if we are castaways blown up on a deserted island. The HVAC duo, the crew of a Coast Guard cutter floating in to rescue us." Another one. "In relation to Lorelei's journey through the world, I live behind the curve, out of the loop and in the dark, missing the memo and not in sync, behind the 8 ball and never up to speed. I float in a kind of gentle obliviousness, like being slightly drugged in my wife's presence whenever she tries to explain something to me, which is darkly fucking ironic, of course, given that Lorelai is the one who's been juggling psychotropic meds for 3 decades. Beautiful writing. Beautiful writing. So in addition to his unique and frequent analogies, I love his clever structure of interrupting Noah's narrative with excerpts from Lorelai's book, text messages, bot communication, newspaper and magazine articles, and notes from government meetings. Most of all, I love his characterization of AI and the far-reaching ramifications of our reliance on it. On a side note, in all three novels, I was fascinated by both the role of fathers and the characterization of detectives. Rabbit Moon was a Barnes & Noble book club selection. It only got a 3.8 on Goodreads. I think if you read this closely, you will find it to rank far higher than that. The River is Waiting and Culpability are both 2025 Oprah Book Club picks and received 4.4 and 4.1 on Goodreads. Regardless of those scores, I give each of them not only an A, but an A+. Until next time, be careful. Take care of yourself and don't forget to do your homework. Bye-bye.